culture is more than just entertainment. It's a lens into society, relationships, and human behavior. I'm Grace, and here on The Grace Report, we dive into stories beyond the headlines. Whether it's reality TV drama, celebrity scandals, or royal family intrigue, I'm here to break it all down. What it means, why it matters, and how it reflects the world we live in. Join the conversation, share your take, and let's make sense of the culture shaping our lives one story at a time. Good morning, sunshine. Happy Wednesday to you all. Hopefully you are having a fantastic day. I don't know if I told you or not, but yesterday I went to my friend's birthday party and we had a really great time. She got this beautiful restaurant in Pigalle, which you guys know is one of my favorite districts or neighborhoods in Paris. It's in the 9th. You know the Moulin Rouge? That's in Pigalle. So I really, really love that area. So we went over there. We had a great time with her boyfriend, and her friends. She is Afro-Italian, and the majority of her friends are also Italian. So I really do enjoy hanging out with them because they're always speaking in Italian. And that doesn't bother me at all because y'all know me. I love languages, right? And so when you already speak English, French, and Spanish, you understand Italian. So it's really fun and exciting to get to kind of learn a little bit through them and just have a really great time. Y'all, the scandalous stories I heard, you know what, channel members, I'm going to write this down because I'm going to do a video for you guys about the stuff that I was hearing at this party that people were telling me. I wasn't eavesdropping, right? So I'll give you an example. I'll get into more details on this later, but hang on. Convos from the party. So there's this lady that I was talking to, and she was so fascinating because she was like, oh, like, you know, like my husband, and he's from this country, and, you know, in this country, and her husband was right there at the table, right? So she's like, yeah, he just told me like I should quit my job. And she's like got this high up job as like an accountant or a manager of accounting or something like that. And she's like, yeah, like, you know, in this country, they're very like machismo and stuff. And he doesn't like me working. And it is true that it's a lot like, you know, running around, picking the kids up from school, dropping them off, cooking, this, that, the other, work, all that stuff. You know, when the kids were like babies, he never woke up at night. He never changed diapers. He never fed them because like, you know, it was kind of like an insult to his manhood to even ask him. I was like, girl, what? Like, what? It was so scandalous. And then I heard some other stuff that was crazy. Y'all, let me tell you, you know what? I'll get into that later. Anyway, so nice to see all of you here. We've got Ali, Gala, Malen, Paprika, A, K-Car, Angie, Venetia, Nikki, Steph, Acacia, Jasmine, Angela, RL, Shemjam, Angie D. We've got Jaleesa, Kahara, Emily, Amy, and thank you, Emily. That's so nice. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So nice to see y'all here. Oh, Jaleesa made it to Rome. Wow, that's amazing. How's Rome treating you so far? When did you land there? Jaleesa, I'm so freaking happy for you. So that means that everything's went well with the physiotherapy, like, you know, walking and everything like that is going all right for you. Super duper happy to hear that. Congrats, Jaleesa. Wow. Wow. What good news. I love good news in my Kamala Harris voice. Love good news. I didn't know that stuff. Haitian and Italian. Wow. That's so cool. Honestly, I love the language. I think it is so freaking beautiful. Good morning, Rachel. Good morning, Ronnie. And thank you so much, Amy. Listen, y'all, I was having a rough time today. Not going to lie. I was like, almost like, I was this close to being like, should I just pre-record this like later when I feel better? I am having the ultimate brain fog. Not frog. You see, brain fog. My lower back hurts. I've got cramps. I'm like dying, y'all. So like to see that you guys are saying I look good or something. Wow, that's so nice. Thank y'all so much because I do not feel good. Jaleesa says, oh, I'm good. Just slow AF. I'm taking lots of breaks. I landed at 7 a.m. today. Woo! Good for you, Jaleesa. This is absolutely incredible. So freaking happy for you. Listen, the more breaks, the more Aperol spritz that you get to enjoy. So a win is a win. A win is a freaking win. Y'all, we've got so much to discuss in today's episode of The Morning Report, including the stuff going on with Janelle and JACE. Do you remember how she sent her son to live with his biological father that he didn't know? Well, she's like, well, I guess he learned his lesson, didn't he? right? So we got that. We've also got more information on Hulk Hogan's daughter, Brooke's estrangement from him and how she removed herself from the will. There's a big Love Island breakup happening between Janae Craig and Kenny. And it's ugly, you guys. I'm actually quite shocked at the allegations that are flying around. And we've also got to talk about the singer, Katy Perry, allegedly dating my former prime minister, Justin Trudeau. Y'all, when I saw this story yesterday, I howled. I said, I hope all my Canadian co-reporters are here for us to talk about it because this is so crazy for us. This is huge. Listen, in Canada, before we get into the story, in Canada, Justin Trudeau, like, people who were like opposition to him or even some supporters would make fun of him because before he got into politics, he's a Nepo political baby, right? So his father was Pierre Elliott Trudeau. So the Montreal airport, YUL, is named after him. And he used to be the prime minister. But it always felt like Justin's real passion was like trying to make it as an actor or something, right? He used to be a drama teacher and he's just, anyway, so for him to be dating a Hollywood star, to me, that's all I thought about. I said, that is absolutely hilarious. What if we hear next that he's going to go like that direction where he's really trying to like make a name for himself in Hollywood? He's going to put his acting chops to the test, you guys. Wow, absolutely crazy. They went on like 2 dates together. And then we're also going to get into a recap of what went down on part 1 of last night's reunion for the Valley over on Bravo TV. If you find yourself enjoying today's episode of the Morning Report at any given moment, please don't hesitate to go ahead and give it a thumbs up so YouTube knows you enjoy my content, please. Nice to see y'all here. Even Winnie the Cat's here as well. Nice to see you. But thank you, Ronnie. Hanging in there. Mrs. T. Oh, you know what? Are you going to put it in like a Stanley Cup and walk and sip it to go? You know what's so funny? I threw that out there, but I actually can't stand Aperol Spritz. I think it tastes like cough syrup and not the good kind. You know, like when you were sick as a kid, you get the strep throat, that you go to the doctor and the doctor gives you like that banana flavored, like whatever that is, antibiotic. No, not the good stuff. It's like cough syrup. Not a fan. You know what I love? The Saint Germain Spritz, the elderflower liqueur. Then you have some Prosecco. Then you put some soda water in it. Ooh, that one I love. And yes, Amy, I am really looking forward to getting into that Janelle story because that girl is absolutely shameless. I'm bookmarking your comment for when we get into that. Gwen says, ew, who would want to hang out with Katy Perry? Damn, not Katy Perry getting hate. You know what was shocking to me? That she had a concert in Ottawa. I had no clue. Like, it's honestly, Ottawa, as far as like concert stops or destination goes, like it's very, very underlooked. Or overlooked, I should say. So I was quite surprised to see that, you know, she was making the rounds over there. Good morning, Tracy. Nice to see you. And you see, Miss T says the same thing. It's just not all that. But you know what? It's one of those things. It's synonymous with vacationing in Italy. So, you know, Jaleesa, maybe that's your excuse for your little breaks and whatnot, just to have a nice time on the patio, sipping on a nice cocktail and people watching. By the way, is it a solo trip or are you with people? So why don't we get started with our Brooke Hogan story, okay, you guys? So her father, Hulk Hogan, passed away just a couple of days ago. We talked about his passing, of course, in addition to her estrangement from him. And she really cemented her estrangement by making arrangements prior to his passing for herself to be removed from his will, which I actually found to be like, wow, really, really honorable on her part. So sources close to her have told TMZ that back in 2023, she asked her father to remove herself from his will because she didn't trust anybody that was hanging around him. I don't know if this is his wife that he said, you know, that he was married to at the time of his passing or what, but she just was not happy. And she knew that those people were greedy and that they would tie her up in some sort of a financial legal battle over his money when he eventually passed. And so she just wanted to preemptively bow out from all of that, which is quite surprising to me because listen, I know that Brooke did some music and stuff back in the day, right? Us millennials, we remember, and the generation ahead of us as well. But was the music paying her like that? Because how else would she be able to sustain her lifestyle without like her father's help and an inheritance from her father. Does anybody know who she had a baby by? Is she married to the person that she had all those kids by or whatever? Like, what is keeping her afloat that she would bow out from Hulk Hogan's freaking will? Hulk Hogan had money. Remember when he sued Gawker? Let me see. How much money did he win? Hulk Hogan wins Gawker lawsuit because they paid him enough money that it threw them out of business. He was awarded $140 million, you guys. I'm sorry, even if I'm estranged from my father, I am not bowing out of that will over $140 million. People are gonna have to fight my ass for that, okay? Like, are you freaking kidding me? You know, like, I'm just saying $140 million. And that is in addition to like all the money that he already had from merchandising, from appearances, all sorts of things. So I do find this, again, very, very formidable on her part, but it's actually kind of insane to me at the same time. So even though Brooke asked to be removed from his will, she still will be receiving money from a life insurance trust that Hulk Hogan had taken out. And of course, as his daughter, she was one of the beneficiaries. So her sources are saying that she is looking forward to putting that towards her kids' college fund. Guys, again, where's her money from? Where's her money from that she's able to go ahead and just kind of like bow out on this? Did she find herself a nice rich man? If so, good for her, because I do not believe that her money, I mean, her singing is making her that kind of money. Just saying. And so Computer Robots, nice to see you. So Janelle is kind of doing the whole I told you so situation with her nephew, JACE. Jaleesa says, we passed Ontario last night flying in and I thought of you. That's so sweet. I don't know if that's even where you're from, with my husband, BFF, and her fiance. Oh, wow. Like a double date trip. I love that. Couples trip. Yes. So Ontario is the province. And then I'm from the city of Ottawa in Ontario. So yes, you remembered me. Thanks, boo. Acacia is asking, did he remove her though? So it feels like that is ultimately what happened, just based off of, my perception of this. It says that she asked to be removed because she didn't want this. So, but that's a good question. I feel like he did ultimately end up removing her though, because they had a very ugly relationship. So I feel like if you have an ugly relationship with your child and then your child comes to you, right, in a bit of no contact and everything, it says, take me out your will, you're probably going to run and go ahead and do that. Maybe if you're Hulk Hogan, especially with the way that she said that he treated her growing up. However, I am happy that he left her on the life insurance policy. But that's a good question though, Acacia. Would you do it? Like if something was going on with with your son or something like that, and he said, take me out of your will, would you take him out of your will? Or would you kind of just, be like, no, we're going to beef, but I'm taking care of you forever from the afterlife sort of a thing. Like, I got you. What about you guys? The rest of you guys with kids, what would you do if you were in Hulk Hogan's position here? Remember, Hulk Hogan's not a great person. Brooke nearly died from complications due to childbirth, and he never reached out. He never, made an effort to meet his grandkids. As far as I'm aware, he never actually met his grandkids, right? So I think that somebody like that would not think twice, right? Like, about removing Brooke from his will. Good morning, Nicole. Good morning, Natasha. Or sorry, not Natasha, Latasha. Nice to see y'all here. Ayana says she's married to a professional hockey player. And yes, he's the father of her twins. Yes, Brooke, level up. So she's good. She doesn't need to worry about his little Hulk Hogan coins because her husband's got her and her family. Listen, when you marry well, you don't have to worry about these things. Choose wisely. Thanks for the tea, Ayana. Acacia says she has her own business now. I think her husband is wealthy for doing something, LOL. Well, what's Brooke's business now? Aside of the singing and the grills and whatnot. Remember when she won the Teen Choice Awards for Best Girls? Everybody was like, huh? What? Nikki says she might just live a regular life. Maybe her man makes good money. Apparently that man's got that NHL money. And those NHL players, they make good money. I remember Eric Carlson, Wayne Gretzky, these kinds of people. Miss D says Brooke's a songwriter and lives in Dallas. Oh God, the cost of living, is it good in Dallas? I've heard that Texas is pretty good. Steph says, I didn't know she had kids. She's tripping as a mom. Should have kept the money, right? Like, that's a lot of freaking money. And it's only her and her brother. Like, sure, maybe the new wife or whatever, wife of 2 years, would try to get some money. But I imagine that Hulk would have had everybody taken care of at the end of the day. His network is only 30 million after he won 140 million. Then he had all that like reputation and all this stuff. That's crazy. And this could have been a good thing for Brooke to do as well, right? To donate that money. Like, yeah, maybe you don't want it, but like do something with it instead of letting it all go to your, like, I'm sorry, but her raggedy brother with the DUI who left his his best friend in a vegetative state, then blamed his friend for what happened to him. Like just, oh God, I hate that he got more money or money at all from this entire situation. Good morning, Melinda. Nice to see you. What a cute little picture with your baby. So stinking cute. So it looks like you guys would not take your children out of your will. So Acacia says, absolutely would not. It would be my way to make peace. I love that. Ronnie says, I wouldn't change a thing with my kids. Even if they didn't speak to me, they would still get my money, right? Like, so to me, I feel like that's how it should be. But again, given how mean Hulk Hogan was to her and how he didn't even care that she almost died during childbirth, that he didn't, try to see her, try to anything, I imagine that he did take her out. Malen says Gawker has not paid the 100 million because they were not worth that much. But do you know how much they paid out of the 100 and something that they owed? Because the guy who owned it even had to sell his own properties and everything. Like they liquidated everything so that they could pay at least something to Hulk Hogan. So, maybe it's not the full 140 million that he's owed, but he made a pretty damn good penny. And I think their insurance also had to pay out as well. Tracy says, do you think she'll attend his funeral, or did the funeral already happen? As far as I'm aware, the funeral has not yet happened. Perhaps that's something that's going to happen this weekend. She did release a statement about his passing. So I'm kind of 50-50. I think this is a fantastic question, Tracy. I'm 50-50. I think she might go, but here's the thing. She's no contact with her mother. She's no contact with her brother. The way that she even found out about her father, Hulk Hogan, passing away was because her brother had texted her husband to let her husband know to tell her that their dad died. Like just those family dynamics, like I don't know. I'm 50-50. Oh my God, this is such a good question. What about you guys? Do you think that Brooke Hogan is ultimately going to end up going to her father, Hulk Hogan's funeral, or no? Oh, such a good question. So long story short, how the Gawker wound up owing Hulk Hogan $140 million is because there was an X tape that somebody had filmed a woman of her sleeping with Hulk Hogan, and it got out. The Gawker wrote about it, and I feel like they released it or something like that. They were very inappropriate with the way that they handled this, and they argued that he sued them, and then they argued that it's okay because he's a public figure, but he said, no. Hulk Hogan is a public figure. I'm Terry. And when I was like sleeping with this woman and having these intimate interaction with these women, I was not Hulk Hogan. I was Terry, blah, blah, blah. Right. And so that argument wound up sticking. And so he won. And, it was a really, really big deal when all of that wound up playing out. It was a really, really, really intense case. Good morning, Heather. Good morning, AMR. Nice to see you guys. Good morning. Lainey says, oh, Lainey, you're a Gemini. Listen, to all my Geminis who are here, thank y'all for coming to the morning report. And always remember, when I slander Geminis, it's never you ladies. It's always Gemini males, okay? Never you ladies. Plus, wasn't Hulk Hogan abusive to the women in his life, specifically his ex-wife? Exactly. The man was trash overall, so sorry that he's passed away, but he was not a good person by any stretch of the imagination. So exactly, Gawker posted the tape. The tape was, and he sued, and he wound up winning. Now, you guys, why don't we get into our next story of the day? We got to get into this massive Love Island breakup. What the heck happened? Jana and Kenny were a couple on season 6 of Love Island USA. All seemed to be going well until one day, just the other day, actually, they unfollowed each other. They took each other off of each other's Instagram bios. And then obviously people said and assumed that they had broken up. Jana almost immediately confirmed that was indeed the case. So she posted on her Instagram saying, and I quote, you guys, she says, "Hi, my loves. Thank you all for your love and support. It means the world to me. As you know, Kenny and I are no longer together. Please note that I have seen all the breakup theories and none have matched up to how terrible, disgusting, and disappointing it truly is. Discovering that someone you loved isn't who you thought they were and that the relationship you thought you were building hasn't been genuine since day one has been truly devastating. Thank you for respecting my privacy, and please know, as a child of God, I will always be okay." So what exactly are all of these conspiracy theories about their breakups that Janae is referring to? great question. So Janae is Black and Kenny is Dominican, right? And so it has been said that he faked his attraction to her in order to secure brand deals, right? So when you come out of the villa and you stay with the person that you match with in the villa, you become more likable to the audience. The audience loves a good love story. And so they follow you, they're passionate about you, and you are able to earn more money as an influencer, especially if the person that you are partnered up with is more popular than you, right? Or has more followers than you. And that is what was happening in this particular dynamic. And so it has been rumored that Janae caught wind or got access to certain text messages that Kenny was sending to somebody saying that he was not attracted to her. He's not attracted to Black women in general, and just a lot of really horrific things. So Kenny, he tried to do some damage control almost immediately after Janae released her statement. He posted his own Instagram story that says, "The past few days have been incredibly difficult. I've been quietly sitting with a lot of emotions and doing my best to process everything privately. Breakups are never easy, especially in the public eye. Sometimes, despite how deeply you care for someone, you come to the hard truth that the relationship was not something that could last long term. I'll always be grateful for the time we shared and the memories we created. I released this chapter with no ill will, only a hope that Janae's path forward brings her nothing but happiness." Janae was not at all happy with his statement, right? So she tagged him. She said, "Shut the F up, you manipulative liar. You not taking accountability and telling people the type of person you really are is insane to me. My first statement was me being nice. Do not piss me off." So again, those are the rumors that are circulating between the two of them. And one of Janae's Love Island besties is coming out in her defense, and she shed a lot of light onto what actually happened. So take a look at what she said. Charmaine, by the way. "My advice for women in relationships, if you have access, go through your man's phone today. Search keywords like, I don't like Black women. I thought I would get more money from this. I'm faking this relationship. Going on the show would be for clout. I can't wait to be done with this so I can F hella bees. You'll thank me later. P.S. Never spare a man. Dog them out, baby girl." So this is essentially what happened, right? These are the text messages that Janae saw in her boyfriend Kenny's phone. Can you imagine that? Like, you're just over there minding your own Black business, going through your man's phone, you know, just seeing things. And you see these kinds of messages like, "I don't like Black women." What? Like, that's crazy. You've been with this woman for over a year, right? You're hanging out with her, you're getting to know her, her family, you're promising a future. You guys are, sharing intimate adult moments and whatnot. And this whole time you don't even like her, or like people like her. Like, that's really scary. Like, faking a whole relationship for money and for attention. Oof, like, honestly, like, it's giving sociopathic. Like, I don't understand how he was even capable of doing that, right? Like, that is a very, very scary pathology to have. I'm really, really uncomfortable, hearing that this was even the case in their particular relationship. Like, I'm speechless, y'all. I don't know what to say. I do wonder, though, what gave Janae the intuition to go through his phone and find that stuff. Like, was he making a series of comments where you're like, he seems kind of sus, like, should I go looking and whatnot? And then it came to that. Like, I just feel like, wow, like, she had a really strong intuition to be able to go looking for that sort of information. And then, of course, to find it is another story. It must be absolutely devastating, especially, again, like, when you've shared so much of yourself in every capacity or every way with a person, and then to see that, like, that's disturbing and that's disgusting. Malen says, "I knew he was not into her. Dominican men hate dark women and he is a Trumper." Oh, Lord. Are any of you guys Dominican? Can I ask you what's going on with your people? Because the stories I hear, is everything okay? Like, what happens? Like, what are you guys learning in school? Like, it's, I don't get it. I really do not get it. Jasmine says, "I'm so hurt and mad for Janae. Same here. She seems to be like such a nice girl. She wears her heart on her sleeve and everything. And so I'm really, really sad that this even happened to her, especially in such a public capacity, right? Please don't. I'm sorry, Miss T. It was racist. I'm sorry. But that's just the case of this particular situation. Sorry, I'm not laughing at that. I'm laughing at Jaleesa's comment about the Geminis. I'm sorry, y'all. Listen, again, Gemini men, never just Gemini women. Gwen says he better listen to that. Don't piss me off, or we're all going to get the tea. Holy ish. I hope he doesn't listen to it. I hope he pisses her off so we get all the tea. I want to know everything, right? Acacia says, based off the statement from his ex, he has a history of mistreating women. That what she's saying is facts, and that is just so freaking sad. I feel for her. Listen, dating is not easy, okay? Especially when you're dating like men or anybody, right? Because this could be women as well, but like anybody who wants to be a reality TV star, like it takes a certain level of like, I'm sorry, but narcissism. Even when someone seems sweet on TV and whatnot, like there's something in there for them to want to like, be a reality star. Like I feel like it's even more risky than dating your average person. So I feel really, 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 really sad for Janae, and I'm nervous for anybody. My first thought, I said, please don't let Nicolandria go down this way too. Like I hope that we're not going to hear something like this about, Nick one day or Alondria or whatever, like very, very, very sad, very scary stuff. And, like absolutely devastating for Janae. BR says, didn't watch the show, but I'm not surprised. Dominicans have a stereotype of being super anti-Black. I don't know. Like, don't they share an island with Haiti? Like, what happened? Like, what is going on? This is so crazy to me, but I digress. Somebody else said a little bit earlier that reminds them of Chantal and Pedro. And I do think that was the case there too. Like, listen, I think I told you guys this story. My friend, she was Dominican though. Like, and she was kind of, let me put this picture back up. She was kind of like a Kenny Dominican, where you're kind of like, not the Black Dominican, but the Kenny Dominican. So anyway, she got with a Dominican guy. Oh, the way that man used her for papers. Oh, Lord. He had a long-term girlfriend, a baby mama, everything that he was hiding from her the entire time and stuff. Like, oh, I'm not saying they're all like that, but like, that was a really scary story, honestly, what she went through with that particular guy. I don't know what it is, like how a person could even be able to do that. Like, to do that like for a long time, like a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever. Like, that's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Like, if you don't like somebody, if you're not attracted to them, like, how do you like force yourself to like fake it? Like, it's crazy. Gwen says, oh, our power is out here. Glad it's morning time. Oh no, what happened? Jaleesa says, I think she went through the messages. Yup, she must have had a hunch. Again, listen, like you kind of catch on to things with people, like when people start making like different comments here and there, you know what I mean? And like when people are always on the wrong side of certain topics, like, you're like, there's something off with you. And then, that's when you do your digging. K-Car says, I've been saying from the beginning, she was way too good for him. She's beautiful with a perfect body. She's intelligent, articulate, emotionally mature, kind and hilarious. And he's barely average. I love the way you gave the rundown on this, Kate Carr, and I agree. She could have done better. I'm really, really freaking sad. She should have just left him the first time, right? Because didn't he come crying like, this is not who I am? And then they made up and decided to like be together from here on out. I wish she just stuck to her guns. Listen, do not give a man the opportunity to disrespect you, like, on that kind of level more than once. When somebody shows you their character, believe them the first time. We're real strict around here. We don't play that. Absolutely freaking not. Good morning, Michelle. Jaleesa says, I apologize on behalf of my people. Oh my God, are you Dominican? I do not get it. It's rooted in such self-hate. Janae is a baddie. Oh, well, listen, thank you for your apology, girl. You don't have to apologize on behalf of your people, but thank you for your apology. I'm really fascinated by this. I don't know if there's like any kind of literature about this and why this happens specifically with this, group, but I'm very fascinated by it. Exactly. Family Chantel vibes. And it's just so freaking sad to use somebody like that on that level is just, honestly, it's gross. It's sad. It truly, truly is. I'm glad. Yeah, same here, honestly. He's just there. Janae is that girl. She's going to only continue to thrive and to go higher. And this guy is going to continue to stay where he's at, if not lower, because now he has been exposed. By the way, speaking of going lower and he's been exposed, Ariana Madix, the host of Love Island USA, has officially unfollowed him from Instagram. And a lot of the other Love Islanders have unfollowed him as well. Jazzy says, I know Janae's YouTube channel, and the way Kenny was able to fake it all so long is shocking to me. He's a horrible POS, and I agree. So freaking sad. Ronnie says, oh man, I'm sorry I missed the last 10 minutes of sending my oldest two off to school. Started bawling. It's the first day. It's July 30th. Oh my God, that's crazy. Well, listen, I'm sorry that you had a hard send off this morning. Oh my God, Ronnie. Wow, I'm so sorry. But listen, now you got some more peace and quiet to hang out with us, girl. Just saying. Oh, Lord have mercy, you guys. Honestly, like, I could go on about this forever, but listen, we got that Janelle story we got to get into. Computer Robot says, speaking of Chantel and Pedro, what are those two up to since they're divorced? Those two were toxic when they were together. Chantel, she's on this other 90 Day Fiancé spinoff when they're looking for love on an island with like various islanders. And Pedro, is he dating his colleague in real estate or something like that? I don't know what that guy's up to lately, but he's living his best, like, comme on dit en français, charro, you know, like charro is like a player, like his best playa from the Himalaya life, you know. Listen, be very careful. Be very careful. Janae, like, obviously it's not her fault, like, but, you know, I do have to shout her out for listening to her intuition. You know, people like to try to like shame women out of going through like their guy's phone or whatever. But listen, if your intuition is telling you something and you need that confirmation, go ahead and get that confirmation, girl. You deserve it, right? You don't want something like that to be driving you crazy. And if you have an inkling about something this like deep or this serious, oh, abso-freaking-lutely, doubly so, right? God, here she comes, you guys. The disgraced former teen mom two-star Janelle Evans. Oh my God, here she comes, Jesus. Well, you remember how she sent her nephew JACE off to live with his biological father, Andrew, in Florida? And she didn't care about the state of that man's house. She just said, you know what, I booked you a flight. Get your ass to the airport. She didn't even take him to the airport. He went alone. Go to Florida, and he's underage, right? Go to Florida. Go figure out how the hell to get your father's house, and you're going to live with him from now on. No visits, because JACE has not seen his father since, like, he has no memories of his father, right? His father only saw him a couple of times when he was just born, and that's it. And Janelle knows that this child's father is a crackhead. So she didn't even go like to make sure there's no crack pipes, like, you know, lying around the floors, nothing. She just said, you know what, go to a different state alone, leave me alone, right? And she's obviously been dragged for this over the internet for a long while, ever since she did it. And she's not backing down, right? And so somebody was telling her over on Facebook, like, you know, Janelle, it wasn't cool to go and send JACE to live with Andrew. He doesn't even know him, right? And you don't even know Andrew like that either. And so Janelle responded by saying, I do know my ex. I know him very well. And in fact, I wanted JACE to learn the type of person he was. And JACE was very like, Mom, can I please go live with my dad? Let me go live with my dad. And I was like, you don't know the type of person he is. And JACE is like, just let me go find out myself. So he went, and guess what? He found out the type of person Andrew was, right? So once JACE got there and he found out that Andrew's fiance broke up with him, and I don't know what happened from there. I mean, I just know from what JACE told me, I'm not going to share too much, but it was a fiasco and JACE didn't want to admit it to me, but he finally did. And he's happier being at home. He learned his lesson, and that's all I can say. So again, JACE only lasted a couple of days with his biological father, not even a full 2 weeks, y'all, right? Which is sad. But again, like the fact that she's just, you know, gloating about it on the internet, like, you know, I told him so. There you go, right? Very, very sad stuff. Honestly, I just do not understand this person, this situation, like how she doesn't have any kind of like shame or anything like that, like associated with the way that she treats her children and all the trauma that they've got. It's so freaking sad. Just saying, right? Amy says she had a nice little rehearsed video as to why she chose to send him. Exactly, honestly. Janelle is just such a lost cause. Truly, truly, in every sense of the word. Good morning, Hamlet's princess. How are you doing? Amy says, why is she holding that cake so that the candles are close to her hair and t-shirt? Burn, baby, burn. Speaking of Amy, let's see what you said earlier. I had bookmarked your comment. Amy says, disgraced former Teen Mom 2-star who had sole custody of her brother, Jason, her brother. She knows exactly who's best for him, so long as Barbara is not involved. And, you know, don't forget, speaking of Barbara not being involved, she still has barred Jace from having any kind of contact with Barbara. I do think that, having some sort of communication with his actual mother, the woman who's raised him his entire life, would be beneficial to him. But, because she wants to win against her mother, she is not allowing for that to happen. Jace seems to be doing a little bit better from what I've been seeing on social media and whatnot. So hopefully things remain that way. And hopefully he remembers he's only got about 2 years left before he can go ahead and, get out of there, get his own place and whatnot. I do have a question. I don't know if you guys are aware of this stuff or not, but I did know somebody who grew up in like a very difficult kind of like situation. They were like put into foster care and all whatnot. And then the government helped her to go to school. So she was able to study in university for free. She didn't finish her degree because she had a lot going on, understandably, but she was able to study for free. She got to live in off-campus housing and everything. Are things like that put in place for people like Jace in America, where they come from very troubled backgrounds and they might want to pursue higher education, whether it's college, university, trade school, or whatever? Are there housing programs? Like, what can be done for somebody like Jace to get a fair shot? Because I really do hope that there's something that's able to help give him a fair shot in this world. Otherwise, I am really nervous and scared for his future. Ronnie says she put him at risk, but no surprise, she could care less. Exactly. Like, she's still so callous about it. Like, oh, I told you so. Like the idea. Listen, I don't even have a child, but like the idea of sending my mug. Listen, I bought this mug in Sevilla, right? So the idea of just sending this to somebody's house without like going to look to make sure it's safe, not, you know what I mean? Like, that scares me. But with her, with like her whole human child, she's not nervous at all. Keisha says, Janelle, please stop talking. Like, she's the better parent. Exactly. How sad is it? Your child, you've barely had this child for like a year at this point, and he's already ran away like 5 times. He's been shipped off to live, in a group home. He's been shipped off to live here, there, everywhere, dude. Like, oh my God. Jabe says it's her job to protect her son, to protect him from danger and dangerous situation. Exactly. But again, she does not have that mother-son relationship or bond with him. So she really could not care any less. And again, I find that to be so sad. She should have never had children. This is not somebody who actually wanted to be a mother. Maybe she wanted to have children in an attempt to keep men around or to get attention, from pregnancy or from having a baby on her hip. But motherhood is just not for her. Paprika says, wow, whoa, how bad must Andrew be to choose Janelle? Exactly. And that's what's especially sad. 2 people who had no business having a child decided to go and have a child together. Very sad stuff. Jabe says, Janelle doesn't have a care in the world when it comes to her responsibility for kids. Exactly. Never has, never will. Hang on, y'all. Let me take a sip of water. Hang on. Amy says, Janelle enjoys this type of negative attention, which I truly don't understand. Exactly. Like, there's something missing up there, and I find it kind of like fascinating, but like in a really like weird way, like not the good fascinating, like the creepy fascinating, just empty, hollow eyes, empty, hollow brain. Computer Robot says, although I do love it when Janelle and Barbara argue for the littlest things, I would have to say that Jace is better off with his grandmother, Barbara. And I imagine that he misses his grandmother a lot. But again, for Janelle, winning against Barbara is a lot more important than doing what's best for Jace. And so that's why Jace is still required to have no contact with Barbara. But again, Jace, you've only got another 2 years. And I'm hoping that, when those 2 years pass, he is able to get back in contact with Barbara. And it also makes me sad because, Barbara's not a spring chicken, right? And so you would think that you would want for your child to spend as much time as possible with his like mother, right? Especially when she's so much older. Yeah, no. I hope MTV does do the spinoff for Jason and a few of the others to get their bag. Yeah, so great point, Acacia. So what Acacia's referring to is, Kiel had hinted about this in a podcast that MTV had started filming some stuff involving the children from the Teen Mom franchise. And, it seems as though there might be a spinoff in the works with them. So keep an eye out on that, and maybe Jace might be one of the children chosen for it. And I really do hope that that is the case, because I think that he is probably, if I were to be honest, I think he's probably the most at-risk child of the entire franchise, right? So whatever they can do to give him an opportunity to make money would be great. But at the same time, like, I think there are like psychological factors at play where even with money, even if they were to give him a lot of money, like, I don't know, because at the end of the day, like, there's a lot of people with money. Look at Janelle, right? They give her a lot of money, and look at her, how her life is. Still several arrests, and just, so it's very, very worrisome what happens there. Linda says, have needs to start working ASAP. Put money aside and escape from that sister mother. Oh yes, 100% It's really sad. Julissa says, "Oh yes, my friend had a situation like that, and she received FAFSA, which paid for school, 100% housing benefits, and other government assistance. Good, good, good. That is exactly what any government needs to be providing for their at-risk youth, right? Because listen, if you're not educating your at-risk youth, if you're not housing them, if you're not giving them money, you are setting them and the communities up for a lot of, you're setting the children up for a lifetime of crime, right? Homelessness, poverty. And then you're setting the community up for a lot of crime and danger and things like that. And it's just not good for anybody. So, it's always nice to hear when governments are putting money behind these situations. And, it's not their fault that they're in these situations. It's their parents' fault. More often than not. So it's nice that the community would be able to help pick them back up and put them somewhere, on the playing field. Emily says, our mental health programs are being defunded by the Rump administration. Oof, Lord, I'm sad to hear that. Sorry to hear that, you guys, honestly. Shelby says, we have Pell Grant for low-income college. Financial aid depends on parents' income. So if you have rich, crappy parents, you're out of luck. Ooh. And here's the thing. Janelle, I don't know that she's rich, but she's got money. So maybe he would not be able to qualify for that, unfortunately. Lord have mercy. Jabe says, JACE, but that's the thing. We talked about it. Emancipation is an option. I do wonder if he would be able to emancipate himself at a certain point. Because if I'm not mistaken, the teen mom parents were supposed to be saving the money that the children are making from the show as part of their contract. And so maybe if he emancipates himself, gets access to that, something can happen for him. Jabe says Jace needs to officially emancipate himself from his mom at 16, 17 to get free college or financial aid. And I really hope he does that, right? I could see him thriving in something to do with his hands. Maybe he can go to trade school or something. She just says, I don't think he can work until he gets on those meds. It'll help him. Don't forget, speaking of the meds, thanks for bringing that up, not Akeisha, Jaleesa. David had ruled that Jace would not be allowed to take his medications. I think it was because he and Janelle probably or allegedly maybe wanted to use those medications like Adderall, etc. So they said it wasn't good for Jace. And so that's where a lot of the behavioral problems were coming from for a while. Ronnie says she's the worst mom ever. Why even choose to have more after hating the exactly first so much is beyond me. I don't get it either. I do not freaking get it. What's the point? What is the point? Again, I'm so happy we're moving towards the quote unquote normalization of being child free, even like the celebration of being child free. Like more people need to know that it's an option and it's okay. That way we have less children being damaged in this way. Amy says, and taking her kids out for fun stuff is not being a mom. That's the kind of things big cousins do and aunts and uncles do. Exactly. And does she even do that all that often? When's the last time you heard of her taking these kids out anywhere, especially Jay's? I don't know. I don't think so. Julia says, oh, Julia, you're Italian, aren't you? Because this is a very Italian spelling of the name. The U.S. does not care about the foster care youth. A ton of them age out and end up homeless. And that is so freaking sad. Honestly, I really wish we did a lot more for children who end up in these situations. It's not their fault. And so just the fact that you have to suffer through life for your whole entire life just because you were cursed with like the worst parents, like it breaks my heart. It really, really does. Anyway, you guys, give me one quick second. I want to take a water break. I keep feeling like I need to cough, but it's not happening. Let me sip my water and try it out while we have a word from some of our sponsors. And then on the flip side, we're going to talk about singer Katy Perry dating my former Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau. We've also got to get into a recap of what went down on last night's reunion of the Valley. So if you're enjoying today's episode of The Morning Report, please don't hesitate to go ahead and give it a thumbs up so YouTube knows you enjoy my content, and I'll be right back.
The Morning Report is brought to you by Philo. Watch your favorite shows and movies from over 70 different channels, including MTV, TLC, WeTV, and more for only $28 a month. Get a free trial today by clicking the link in the description box of this video to get your free trial up and running.
Tired of learning languages in boring, frustrating ways? Try TalkPal. TalkPal is your personal AI language tutor. It teaches you languages in fun, engaging ways. It gives you real-time feedback, assesses your pronunciation, and the learning process is personalized just for you. Join millions of other learners and start your language learning journey today.
By the way, you guys, I forgot to tell you, I was listening to Caitlin and Tyler's podcast. Y'all know they have that podcast where I think it's called Kate and Ty Break It Down. On a lot of the podcasts, they talk about adoption, but I think that they're finally starting to branch into other topics. So today they were talking about like the whole trad wife thing. That's pretty interesting, but I'm not yet finished with a podcast episode to know if there's anything like kind of like worth bringing up to you. But just an FYI that's something that I'm listening in on, trying to see if there's ever any kind of like interesting stories that I think you guys would want to hear about. Okay, so why don't we get into the Justin Trudeau Katy Perry story that kind of just left us all gagging yesterday. Truly, 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 because whoa, where did this even come from? If it's true that Katy Perry manages to pull this man, like, shout out to her for real, for real. Like, that is absolutely insane. To go from Orlando Bloom, right, to Justin Trudeau is insane. That is legendary behavior. So TMZ broke the news yesterday that the two of them were caught in Montreal together and enjoying a meal at a restaurant called Le Violon. And the two of them were sipping cocktails. They were eating food together, including a lobster. Justin wanted to wine and dine his girl, Miss Katy Perry, and I think that is just so freaking cute. Security guards were there. They were keeping an eye on the couple, but listen, you can't stop people from taking pictures now, can you? And so they went on a stroll and everything before the restaurant and whatnot. And then there was another date that the two of them had where Justin Trudeau walked her to her hotel. So she was staying at the Ritz Hotel, the Ritz-Carlton in Montreal. But this is not from that day. This is from a different day. Where after the dinner, where he's like walking around with her, and I don't know if you can tell in this photo or not, but he had his political arm around her waist, you guys. You don't just, drape your coat over your shoulder and put your arm around a woman's waist for nothing. Like, something's going on. And listen, I'm kind of here for it. Like, this could be hot. Like, there's something really hot about this pairing. Like, I'm sorry. Listen, Justin Trudeau is a decent looking man, right? He takes good care of himself, especially for his age. He's a very tall man as well, and he seems to be a very nice man. Listen, is he a little bit problematic? Yes, absolutely. He has a history of certain things, but it seems like he learned from the things he did in his past and has steered himself in a better direction. And so listen, I think I could kind of be here for this pair up. Like, I don't know, like guys, because of Justin Trudeau's like kind of background with like being enamored by the spotlight, being a drama teacher, being really into acting, boxing. I can almost like picture him going down like the Arnold Schwarzenegger route and everything. Like, that's the vibe I'm getting here. And I feel like with Katy Perry, that could be a really, really interesting way to break into Hollywood. And Katy Perry, I do think that having a politician, especially like a former world leader as her boyfriend, could help with her image as well, because Katy Perry has been getting dragged, clowned in the press for a really long time. And then when you pull one of the hottest like world leaders of all time, come on now, that is a mic drop moment. So I'm here for this, I gotta say. Another theory I have is, do not forget, you guys, but Justin Trudeau's son, Xavier, he's trying to become a rapper. So I'm like, did you like slip your son's mixtape to Katy Perry? Like, are you trying to get a collab for him or something? I don't know. But anyway, listen, there was another date that the two of them had, like I was mentioning earlier, where it was earlier in the day and stuff, a morning brunch date situation. And then he dropped her off at her hotel room. And wow, honestly, I'm kind of shipping this. I don't know, guys. I find this hot. This is a hot pairing. I do think that Katy Perry is a very, very beautiful woman, especially when she keeps her hair black. I cannot stand when she goes blonde. It looks awful on her. But when her hair is black, absolutely stunning, right? I'm here for this. I'm here for this. And Misha. Oh my God. I was like, I'm hoping my Canadians are going to come in and tell me what they think about it. And we've got Misha. Misha's from Ottawa, like me. Misha says, no, Grace, I met Sexy AF on Elgin, Grace, at the Brown Box Bakery, I think. Oh my God, really? That's where I met Sophie Trudeau. It was Elgin. Do you know the bar? It's like Charlotte or something like that. It's called Charlotte. That's where I met her. Misha says, good morning, my lady. Katy Perry and Justin, I'm assuming he's a tour guide. Do you think that's what it is? Honestly, the whole thing is so freaking crazy. It really is. It came out of nowhere, and I am here for it, and I am shipping it low key. Good morning, Farah. So glad to hear that you're marked safe from tsunami, and thanks for bringing that My brother put that in the family group chat because he lives in San Francisco and he's talking about that. I said, really? There's something that happened in Russia and it's affecting you guys in San Francisco? He said something about Hawaii. I was like, that's crazy. Listen, I hope everybody in the path of fire for that is doing okay. Amanda says, my heart genuinely breaks for JACE. The amount of things he's going to have to unlearn. Exactly. Honestly, it's not going to be easy for him to heal from having Janelle as his mother. I'm just saying, right? And Julia, I knew it, girl. I knew it, girl. Que bene. So fun to be a part of the stream instead of watching the playback for once. Ooh, nice to have you here. Hopefully we get to keep seeing you, boo. Angela says, astronaut on the market. Listen, maybe that's what drew Justin Trudeau to her. He said, really? A rocket scientist who went up to space for a whopping 10 seconds? That's hot, girl. That's hot. My lens says Trudeau's parents were very Hollywood and dated very famous people. His mom dated Mick Jagger and his dad dated Barbara Streisand. They're keeping it in the family. This is what the Trudeau family is like. And, you know, I got to show you guys how small Ottawa is. I'm going to try to find my photos, but I got a couple photos, like selfies with Justin Trudeau and this is from like my blogger era. Because before I was on YouTube, I was a blogger. His father's, well, his mother, I should say, his mother. There was like some kind of event I was at. And so we had to like share a table with her. It was like this cocktail or this dinner evening, blah, blah. And so, yeah, honestly, this is just so crazy to hear. It really is. Honestly, listen, anything that puts Canada a little bit higher on the market and stuff makes me really happy to hear. Speaking of, are you guys fans of Degrassi? Because at this year's Toronto International Film Festival, TIFF, they're going to be releasing a documentary on Degrassi, and I'm really looking forward to that. Oh no, Allie's embarrassed. Really? You're not excited about this? I think this is so freaking exciting. T. Ruth is not a fan. She says he's ew. Listen, I get it. He must have skipped the Canadian tour stops. Damn, Katy Perry, I'm sorry, girl. I thought this was going to help your reputation, but look. My people still aren't feeling you, girl. I'm sorry. I'm doing my best. Did you see me? I'm acting hyped and everything, but they're not falling for it. Michelle says Gracie could be meeting with her with regret. Exactly. That's what I said too. I said maybe he's trying to put his son on, his rapper son, Xavier. Or what does he go by? Exav or something like that. It's weird. It is. It's coming out of nowhere. I feel like over the last 72 hours, we've had a lot of really strange and random celebrity pairings announced, right? Odd couple for sure. Like, what would they talk about? Katy Perry seems like very vapid to me. Justin Trudeau, even though he's a politician, he kind of does seem vapid too, though. It's like, I don't know, but I'm following this and I'm really looking forward to seeing how it goes. Good morning, Big Miss Muffin. How are you doing, boo? Happy Wednesday. Steph is a Degrassi fan. Jasmine too. That was such a freaking good show. I was a huge fan. Truly. Alice says she might have gone up high in the sky, but I'm not falling for her BS. Damn, listen, let me leave you guys alone about Katy Perry. Y'all are not feeling her at all, which listen, I understand. Okay, so we're going to switch gears over to the Valley. So yesterday, part 1 of the Valley's reunion special aired. And I gotta say, I really enjoyed it. I'm sorry, but Nia, oh my God. This woman is a 10 out of 10. Look at how gorgeous. Like she's 8 months pregnant here and she looks absolutely picture perfect, Barbie doll stunning. You know, she's still talking about the body image issue she's having. And I'm just looking at her how? You are literal perfection. I've never seen this woman look bad a millisecond in her life. You know, and so just to hear the way she talks about herself versus the way I see her, it's crazy to me, right? But you know what? I will say that overall, part 1 of the reunion special was really good. And things started on a very positive note, even though the season ended on a rather negative note, especially in regards to Kristen versus Janet. Kristen extended the olive branch by saying, hey, listen, I want to apologize, Janet, for threatening to knock you out, calling you a whore. That was not cool. And it was not true what I said. Janet graciously accepted her apology. And then, later when Andy Cohen asked Janet if she thought, that Kristen was going to be a good mom when she gave birth and whatnot, Janet said yes. Everybody was really kind of raving over Janet's post-baby body. I gotta tell you, she does look absolutely fantastic, but on Bravo, they're always kind of glorifying and kind of, skirting over eating disorders, right? So y'all know I am binging, rewatching Vanderpump Rules. And so in season 9, you also hear Jax talking about how he's been abusing Adderall to lose weight, right? And here on the Valley, he talks about gaining 35 pounds. So don't be surprised if he goes to the Janet diet. We've also heard about Stassi talking about that sort of thing. Like a lot of the people on Vanderpump Rules or in that kind of universe adjacent to it, they abuse drugs to stay thin. Right. And so they kind of laugh it off like it's something normal, but I think it's kind of harmful the way that they skirt over this particular topic. Just saying. So meanwhile, Jax and Brittany, despite the positivity going on between Kristen and Janet, Jax and Brittany are still in a really terrible place, and they're fighting over who's sleeping with who, right? Like she says that Jax needs a vasectomy because he raw dogs all of his hoes and everything, and that she would never touch that dirty D again. He says, that's not what you were saying 4 months ago. You were trying to like bone me. And she's like, you know what? I doubt it. Girl, if you're saying you doubt it, not as 100% not true, there means to me that like some part of it might be true and you're not 100% sure that you didn't say that, right? So that makes me nervous. I really do hope that she does fully shut the door on him. And then she calls him out for like boning OnlyFans girls. And then he calls her out for screwing a guy who screws corn stars. And he also says that she leaves condoms on the floor. And she says, at least I'm using condoms. I'm like, you know what, girl? Yeah, it's great that you're using condoms, but why are you leaving them on the floor? That's nasty. Like, that's gross, especially in a house with your child and whatnot. Like, very, very weird. It kind of almost like gave me like war flashbacks to Ariana and Tom Sandoval's house and how filthy that was. And then she was like, oh, like, you opened the door to my room and my dog, she had an accident because she got into like a skewer from my takeout that was like just, lying around. It's like, well, girl, why was your takeout just lying around like that? Like, why are you guys so filthy? You know what I mean? Like this back and forth between the two of them, it made me itch at how nasty the two of them. Jax for raw dogging everybody, and then Britt for just leaving these condoms on the floor. Very, very weird stuff, right? So there was this like kind of exchange between Jesse and Michelle as well, where Jesse is accusing Michelle of weaponizing their daughter, Isabella. And he's like, I do it too, by the way. And then they're like, okay, what's an example? Because Michelle's denying it, right? So he's like, oh, well, she weaponized Isabella against me because, I refused to let Isabella see her mom. And so she told me I won't be able to travel with Isabella to see my mom unless Isabella could see her mom, right? Mind you, Michelle's mom is dying. So everybody was like, what are you even talking about, Jesse? Like, you should be allowing your daughter to see her grandmother as much as she can before her grandmother passes away. So he took a huge L in that respect. Like, the lights are on, but nobody is home with this guy. It was a very, very like odd segment from him. By the way he dresses, I just cannot get over it. Like, it's so tacky and so weird. And like, it really takes away from his looks. Like, I think he's a decent looking guy, but the way he dresses and stuff, like it makes him look very, very corny overall. Not a big fan. Good morning, Florida native girl. Nice to see you. Good morning, Crystal. Nice to see you too with your low rider. Ali says, can Brittany go next? Listen, Brittany's the biggest star they've got left on this show. So with the exception of Kristen. So I don't really think that she's going to be the next to go. However, I'm actually kind of excited to see her start dating different people now at this point, now that she's finally fully done with Jax Taylor. Jaleesa says, can Brittany get a damn restraining order already? Like, what's so hard? I think she likes it at this point. Jesse is a demon. Well, that's the thing with Brittany I've been wondering about. Like, it does kind of feel like all this stuff can be handled in better ways, right? More efficient ways. So for example, she was complaining about Jax putting up security cameras in the house all season. Take them down. They're right there. You're on a ladder putting Post-it notes on them. Why don't you just take them out? Cut the cables, like, you know what I mean? Like this sort of thing that I don't particularly understand. Jazzy says, wasn't that a joke by Janet? I saw a clip of that and I thought Janet was joking. No, she's telling the truth. That's what they do in the Vanderpump universe. Stassi does it. Jax does it. Like, that's what they do. Ali says, fine. Can she be promoted to a friend of? Listen, maybe that would be better. Speaking of friend of, I think that might be what happens to Jasmine and Zach. We barely heard a peep from the two of them here, right? In part 1 of the reunion special, I forgot that they were even there. So I do think that there might be some reshuffling going on, especially if the rumors are true that producers want Sheena on the show and maybe to give Lala Kent a bigger role. Something's going to be happening with them. I think more likely with Jasmine than with Zach, because Zach has more connections within the friend group. Now, Can we go back to Jesse, actually, right? So aside from him weaponizing his daughter and just like this weird stuff, we're finding out that he's still with that girl who's dating the Baywatch actor and talking crap about him. I was like, really? Like, I thought that was over. Okay, Bella, if you like it, I love it for you. But then he talks about how that girl reached out to Michelle after a month of dating Jesse because she had spent so much time with his daughter that she felt like from mother to mother, she would want to have a connection with Michelle to make sure that Michelle knows she's serious. And I'm like, why is this girl hanging out with your kid, especially multiple times after a month of dating? Like, isn't like dating like a courtship within the first couple of months where you're seeing each other once a week, then maybe twice a week, you know what I mean? Like within the first month. So where the heck did your daughter come into this, especially multiple times? Like that was really crazy. And we kind of like glazed over that. Like Andy pointed out that it was really strange that she was trying to get in contact with Michelle or that she had met the child. But I feel like we could have talked about this a lot more because that was absolutely insane. Like that was giving unhinged. And Jesse was acting like it's completely normal. And I find that to be rather disturbing. And another thing that was rather disturbing was how graphic Brittany described Jax's attack on her as being, right? So on the show, we heard about him throwing bar stools at her and one of them hitting her knee and then it being bruised. So here she's saying that her knee turned black. He threw her phone, broke it, threw her computer, broke it, broke her Stanley Cup, broke everything. And then on top of that, he shoved her into a rose bush. And everybody knows roses have thorns. So first of all, you're pushing your wife, which is already insane. And then on top of that, you're pushing her into a rose bush so she can get scratched and cut up by roses. And your son was in the house. And then as she says this, Jax tries to deny it, but she says, this was captured on my Ring camera. Everybody has seen the footage of you doing this to me. And then Andy Cohen goes, anyway, when you were a guest on Watch What Happens Live, Brittany, you said Jax wasn't good in bed. Blah, blah. I was like, wait a minute. Like, we're not going to take a beat and evaluate that and talk about how that's unacceptable. The men are not going to call out Jax for that behavior. We're just going to skip over to whether or not Jax Taylor is good in bed. That's crazy. Absolutely crazy to me. I don't get it. I truly do not get it. I was disturbed by that. I felt horribly for Brittany when that came up because I'm like, how is it possible that you're talking about this man turning your knee blue, black and blue, destroying all of your property, shoving you into a rose bush, and the host is going to switch it over to how you said this man is not good in bed? Am I in the Twilight Zone? That's crazy. Like that was incredibly irresponsible. There was no PSA about DV. And so Jax does the same song and dance about like being an alcoholic or a rug addict or whatever, how rugs and alcohol ruined his life. So they give a PSA about if you're struggling with substance abuse, but there's nothing, about like if you're a victim of DV. I think that they should be ashamed of themselves for that, the way that they handle that particular segment. Ali says, no, Sheena. She withheld a major storyline from VPR and wants to use it to join the Valley. No, thank you. And I can agree. I don't think I want to see her on the Valley, but unfortunately, she's got a lot of really deep connections there. So I do see that being a possibility for her to join. Not even just a possibility, but highly likely for her to join the upcoming season. Ms. Muffin says, why won't she take the cameras down? Exactly. What is that? Just take the cameras down. It's your house now. The guy moved out. What do you still have these cameras up for? If you don't like, they make you uncomfortable, install your own cameras, right? Like the whole thing is so freaking crazy. A says, unless all the old Pump Rules cast is brought onto the Valley, now that Pump Rules is getting a new cast, the Valley will not make it, and that's the thing. A lot of people really love Vanderpump Rules and still feel attached to the cast members and everything. So this is why they're considering bringing so many people from that show onto here. And it's the whole reason people are even watching the Valley, right? Even though these people were canceled, this is the whole reason people are curious about it, because it has Kristen, it has Jax, it has Brittany, then you see glimpses of Shorts, you see glimpses of Sheena, you see glimpses of Lala. BY says, I don't believe that she leaves condoms on the floor. He's gaslighting us. He has hidden cameras in the home. Who do you think he's watching her get railed by these guys? Oh, I wouldn't put it past him, right? And I agree. It is DV. It was unacceptable, and it was very, very inappropriately handled. And I do think, listen, I think the network should be apologizing to to Brittany for the way that they handled that. It was just not okay at all. Ali says Andy pivoted because he does not want to get into the legality of DV without speaking to his lawyers. And, they should have prepared for this because it was mentioned on the show that he did these things. They knew they were going to have this discussion. So why didn't legal talk about this? Why didn't legal figure out how to navigate this conversation in an appropriate way? Because that was just so inappropriate. Imagine that you're sitting there as a victim of DV, and then nobody questions the guy. Nobody tells the guy that that's unacceptable. We just move on to you saying something almost as if you saying that this guy's not great in bed means that, you're as bad as him or you're this terrible person who deserves for this stuff to happen to you. Yikes. Misha says, have a great day, Grace. And chat, please just drag Katy Perry, not sexy Justin. You have a great day too, Misha. It's so nice to see you popping by. Sexy Justin. Jaleesa says, yeah, where's Puss Jason? Exactly. Jason has been riding hard for Jax all season. Why isn't he dragging him the way he's been dragging Danny? Jesse too, right? And then it came out from Michelle, I believe it is, or Brittany, that Jax talks a lot of crap about Jesse in the guys group chat. So right, maybe at this point it's time for you to wake up and realize this guy, this ABUSCR doesn't even like you. So let's go. Let's open up and let's take him down. Let's talk about how this is not okay. Here's the thing. I imagine that Jason has done a lot of really ugly things to Michelle as well. Then that's why he wants to keep his mouth shut, because he knows if Jax is going down, he's taking everyone down with him. And he knows some things, right? Alice says Sheena can stay as a day worker. Oh, Sheena, listen, one thing about Sheena, she's not turning down camera time, boo. Muffin says, again, why not bring in someone to discuss this? This is totally so gross, and why this should be canceled. And I agree. They handled this very, very poorly. My heart broke for Brittany in that moment because she's obviously distressed, right? This guy's gaslighting her. This guy's lying to her. When he said, it's so important for me to not uproot my son, I felt like if I were Brittany, I would have exploded. I would have been just freaking out because this man is sitting here saying that after all that he did, after I had to bounce around from Airbnb to Airbnb with the son that he's talking about, he wanted to keep in the same environment. He didn't want to uproot him. Am I crazy? What is this? Right? Oh my God, I felt terrible. The psychological warfare that was levied against her here was just brutal. Absolutely freaking brutal, I have to say. Wow. And then we talk about how he body shamed her and everything. And none of the guys stood up for Brittany at all. None of the boys held Jax to task, not even Andy, right? Apparently he called Brittany a tree trunk because of her stretch marks. And these are stretch marks from carrying his child. You were a child, dude. You were so freaking sick in the head. Kristen really had Brittany's back this entire reunion. She was a really, really great friend to Brittany. And I hope that Brittany kind of wakes up and becomes a better friend to Kristen moving forward in season 3, and Zach as well. Although Zach really didn't have her back as much, or at least we didn't hear it, because remember, the show is edited. So maybe he had been, chiming in from time to time, but it wasn't kept. And because Kristen was right next to Brittany, it was easier to keep her sound bites. I'm not sure, but Brittany really needs to kind of step up the way that she is as a friend to Kristen moving forward. And yeah, honestly, overall, part 1 was pretty interesting of the reunion, but there's a lot of kind of unanswered missing pieces that I'm looking forward to seeing in part 2 of the reunion, though. So it's kind of cool that we finally get one for the show, because season 1 didn't have a reunion at all. So Ali says Sheena and Lala can be brought on like the Hunger Games for camera time as day workers. I'm shocked, Grace, that your man didn't call Jax abusive. Exactly. Right. Speaking of, and she's talking about my man, Jason, because right when it comes to Danny, he put the battery in Janet's back to say, sexual harassment. So as a lawyer, why don't you put the battery in her back, or why don't you say it yourself, right? As a man, that this is DV and this is not okay. You're a lawyer. Go ahead and call it what it is, DV. So I was disappointed in him. I'm not ready for divorce, but I'm disappointed in him. Ms. Muffin, oh no. Oh God, guys, somebody please hide me. I'm not coming back out. No. East Awesome is here to drag me, y'all. I'm scared. I'm shaking in my freaking boots. Which one of you summoned him? Is Star here? Star must have called you East. Star must have called you East Awesome. East Awesome wants to drag me about my love for Jason. Look, Allie, look what you made. Look what happened. Oh my God. I'm ready, East Awesome. Let me have it. Ms. Muffin says, and no one came to defend her. Just gross. Exactly. Nobody but Kristen. I think that everybody should have done a lot more, especially the men up there on the stage. It's not fair the way that they kind of rally around each other to protect each other as they abuse women. We've seen them do this on Vanderpump Rules, and here they are doing it on the Valley as well. And it's really, really unfair. It is. It's cruel, right? Cruel, cruel, cruel. And they keep on coddling him. They act like he's the victim. And it's this, it's that. They believe all the BS that he's telling them. But it's ridiculous. It truly, truly is. Also, listen, I just finished my recap. So I'm going to wait for you to let me know what you think, boo. BY says, I'm glad that Brittany has the courage to leave Jax. He seems very jealous of Brittany. Exactly. I think he's mad that he's the one that brought her on the show, gave her the fame, and now she has more money than him. She's liked more than him. She's going to have more opportunities than him moving forward. She's in the house. She gets to keep the kid. Like, she comes out smelling like roses, whereas his life is in the toilet, even though his life is exactly where he let it to be. He had so many freaking chances over the years to do right by her and by everybody. And he just chose to be a POS every single time. And, this is the result of that, right? At the end of the day. And so, instead of recognizing that, like, this is his own doing and his own fault, and he's reaping what he's sown, he wants to take it out on Brittany, and it's absolutely freaking disgusting. Alice says Jason is like toe jam. Listen, guys, ease up on my man, please. He was having a hard day. He was working his cases. He's having a hard day, so he was tired. Hopefully he's gonna wake up in part 2. No, he's not going to. Listen, Jason enables the hell out of Jax. He believes everything Jax tells him. So he's not going to wake up. And that makes me very, very disappointed. East Austin says, I'm not mad about Jason. I think Janet and Jason need to mind their own business. It has nothing to do with them. Me and Jasmine are cool. It's a fabricated issue. Imagine going to court for someone else. And I can agree with that. So speaking of Nia and Jasmine, they made a joke at the top of the reunion that Jasmine's not the one that sold them the house, right? It's too far for Jasmine's territory. I'm happy that they're in a better place, but I'm actually quite surprised because Jasmine, she had a lot of like digs behind their backs about them as a couple and about Danny and everything that I wish she was saying to their face a little bit more often. Honestly, every time I see this picture, I'm like, this woman is so freaking beautiful. I don't know how Danny scored her. I'm sorry. Like, I do not know how he scored her. Like, between like everything and like the fact that he's kind of like a creep when he drinks, like, how the hell did he score Nia? I imagine that Nia had like men at her doorstep, like a mile long of eligible suitors ready to wife her up. So the fact that this is what she settled for, is so fascinating to me. He seems nice when he's sober. However, when he gets to drinking, oof, absolutely terrible. Ali says, I'm surprised you didn't get the ick when he was in women's fights. He was in the women's fight standing up for his wife. Listen, I keep telling you guys, I'm a very, very simple girl. If somebody is very attractive, unfortunately, I could be a little bit blind to their defaults, right? And I'm working on this. So right now I am starting to call out Jason, even though we're still, in love. But I'm working on it. It's something that I have to work on. He was very sassy indeed. Are you talking about the finale episode where he's there, Sheena's there as well, and then everybody's coming for his wifey? Listen, he had to defend his wifey. What can I say? And you know what's crazy? I actually don't even have a screenshot of Jason at this reunion, funny enough. But yeah, listen, Jason, I don't know. At first, when we were coming into this reunion, I did not think that Jason and Janet would be back for another season because it didn't seem like anybody liked Janet. And then Jason was collateral damage in that. But now, after seeing the way that Janet and Kristen made up, I do think that there is going to be an opportunity for them, more space for them in season 3. And so it's up to them to navigate this correctly moving forward so that they're not fired. And so I'm curious to see the way that Jason and Danny's friendship evolves moving forward as well, or if it devolves, actually. Malen says Janet is needed on the Valley. Without her, it will only be about Jackson. Exactly. Listen, everybody was coming for Janet, right? And her chair is very close to first. She was right next to, she was actually third chair. Never mind. But she is needed. I'm actually quite surprised that Jesse got closer to her, to Andy. He got second chair versus Janet, because I think that Janet was a much bigger storyline than Jesse, but I digress. So let me see what East Awesome had to say. Did you guys talk about cokehead alcoholic Jax traded hard rugs for steroids? That's GD hilarious. Bro traded cocaine. Oh, really? Are you kidding me? Is that why Brittany was asking him if he's on steroids? I had no idea that's what he was doing. Why did he want the steroids so bad? Ew, not you trading coke for steroids, really? It's a bad deal. Ali says you saved those for your private camera roll, right? Is that the in reference to the security cameras of her in the house that Jax is creeping on? Like, do you think he's like saving it? Is that what you're asking me? East Awesome says, hot take, this show needs Janet. Every show needs a good villain. I enjoy disliking Janet, and Janet is not abusing anyone for real. It's just words. I also like Jesse Lollipop's crazy behind. Same here. Listen, we need them. This is the thing. When people don't like somebody, they want for the person to be gone, but like, you can't just like everybody, and everybody can't just like each other, or else you don't have a real show, right? So I like when viewers like East Awesome are able to recognize that. And, like, it's what we need. We need the Janets. We need the Jessies. Like, so, and like you said, they're not, she's not at least, seriously harming anybody. She's just kind of stirring the pot, and we need that. So yeah, I agree. I would like to see her continue. And I like, again, the way that she and Kristen were able to mend fences at the reunion. And, I'm really curious to see like if they're going to start back up season 3, like fighting again or not. BY says these men discuss everything in their chat. They're all in an alliance. Yep. That's the thing, right? They're never, ever going to hold each other accountable. And it makes me so freaking sad. Although some of them did get kicked out of the group chat. So maybe those ones are going to start speaking out more, but we'll have to wait and see moving forward, right? One says Alex Baskin loves Janet. They will not fire her. Yep. Variety did a story about how Janet is a needed villain. So sorry to the Janet haters. Listen, y'all, I was saying this in the finale too. To me, everything Janet said is true. I do think that what Danny did was SA. I do think it was S harassment as well. I think that he's a creep personally. And I'm glad that we've got somebody on the show calling it out. I really cannot stand the way that Kristen wants to shut down any conversation about this man inappropriately touching women. No, I don't care that you're best friends with him. I don't care that you're best friends with his wife. What he's doing is wrong. What he's doing is inappropriate. And what he's doing, it's technically illegal. Okay, so let's talk about it. And I like that, Janet's calling it out. Alice says just Jackson, Brittany can go because it's dark. Exactly. I can agree with that, right? Yep. We need light, fun, building rapport before it makes a turn. Completely agree. The boys chat is hilarious. They are insane over there in that chat. I still can't believe the thing that Jesse said. And then after he's like, yeah, I know it's not true. How would you say it? They need to do a reenactment of the boys chat. Listen, get ready for season 3. Honestly, I do think that season 3 is going to be a juicy season as well. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how the cast kind of changes with Jax leaving the show and everything, and how that affects the dynamics. So yeah, stay tuned, you guys. So far, so good with the reunion. I'm looking forward to seeing Danny and Nia and Jason talk about the stuff that Danny and Janet and Jason talk about, Janet's big allegations against Danny, right? The legal terms and everything, because her lawyer husband's going to back her up, and I'm looking forward to that. Our lawyer husband. Anyway, you guys, thank you so much for joining me for another episode of the Morning Report. Per usual, I had the greatest time chatting with you, and I'm looking forward to coming back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to talk about more of the day's hottest stories. If you enjoyed today's episode of the show, please don't hesitate to give this stream a thumbs up so YouTube knows you enjoy my content. And Jaleesa, continue to enjoy your time in Roma. And I can't wait to hear more about your trip tomorrow. Okay. Take care, you guys. Bye.